Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Proudland, where it is all of Proud, and just about half of me. How you doing, Proud?
I don't play damn.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't play.
I feel like you're always way too quiet. Like, we start the show, and I'm just like, huh?
I don't play.
Anyway.
Am I quiet?
You're not quiet anymore. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
I am your host, Roland. Sorry, skipped that part. This is my wonderful co-host, Proud.
God bless me.
God bless you. God has blessed you. Third week in a row that you've still been 5K, and I know that you've just been crazy on that rank. You've just been playing tons and tons.
Yeah, I've definitely touched solo ranked. That's
Yeah.
definitely something that I have done
And
while Dark Souls 3 DLC came out. I'm very much playing solo ranked.
You keep landing right at 5016 MMR too.
It's plus 25, minus 25 every time.
So today we are going to talk about a weird minutia within Dota 2 that is, God, when I was doing research for this episode to ask Proud questions, it was really hard to get like concrete, what do you think of this, good or bad, or yes or no, because when you're talking about phases of the game, for example, the laning phase, mid-game, mid to late game, extreme late game, whatever you call it, it's difficult. So I had to watch a bunch of replays, my own replays, pro replays, Proud's replays, and a few other community members' replays to get an idea of when certain things were changing, because Dota 2 is a game that it's a lot like, I don't know, I'm going to use a shitty analogy, like your hair growing. You don't notice your hair is growing until, holy shit, one day you wake up and you're like, my God, my hair is long. I need a haircut, or wow, this is cool, rock on, type look.
Right.
And that's kind of how like an isolated game of Dota is, where you spawn and you buy your tangos and your stout shield, or you buy your tangos and your wards and your courier, whatever the fuck you buy, or you buy 6 iron branches or whatever the fuck you do. And then you just go out there and all of a sudden your towers are being taken, and then all of a sudden some guys died 4 times, then all of a sudden they're knocking at your door, and then all of a sudden you've lost and the game's over. And there's no real delineation between what happened, like how did I get here, when did things change, why am I not still in safe lane just killing creeps as they come. And so that's kind of what we're going to try and tackle here today. I have a feeling this is going to be a multiple part episode because it's difficult to wrap my mind around. So basically, when I was watching my replays, it was a Sven game in particular that I had played today, and then I watched the replay immediately after, where I rushed a Helm of Dominator. I did brown boots.
Step 1. I like that step 1.
Yep, the step 1. So I get into the lane, I buy my Quelling Blade, I buy brown boots. I already had stout because I started with it.
Yeah, good.
Yep, and I had a mango that ended up getting me a kill.
Good.
By level 3, I did a 2-1 build, which actually was really cool. A Rubik.
Wait, you had a point in your cleave at level 2?
I didn't.
How do you answer this one?
Okay, you're not gonna like the way I answer it, but I ended up okay. I started with cleave level 1, so I went WQQ instead of, because I don't know. It's like I know I'm supposed to start with dagger on Spectre, because it's an escape. I know I'm supposed to start stun on Sven. Because it is an escape. I mean, the stun on Sven. It's an escape.
No, it's just the fact that the W just does things you don't want it to.
It pushed lane equilibrium and all sorts of things. And I felt it, and I know. And back when I was playing on that .p less than 3 team, the number one complaint was my lane equilibrium, because I was the safe lane carry. And I primarily played Sven, and I was like, sorry guys, can't help it. And there, you can help it with Sven, especially if you're good. Like, you can make it so you don't cleave onto other things. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, I'll just ignore that.
I got the Dominator, and I got it really, really quick because I got a fast kill on a Rubik. I had a creep stacking at the 7-minute mark. So I had my first double stack of Ancients at 7 minutes. And I'm sitting there.
Wait, let's refine. I want to figure this out. I want this to be done.
Okay.
So often when I'm talking about stacking, if there are four sets of creeps, I'll call it a quad stack. But I've actually only stacked it 3 times. Like if I call something
a double stack, then that would be
what's the point of calling something a double stack
versus
a stack? A
Yeah.
stack is already double stack.
That's very good. That's something I haven't noticed, and that would bug me. Now that's gonna bug me forever. Thanks a lot.
So here's what I say. I say I have a 3 stack of Ancients.
Okay, so I had a 2 stack of Ancients at 7 minutes, meaning
I feel like.
Go ahead.
Because like a triple stack and a 3 stack, it's basically like the individual like
a triple stack should be 4.
The syllables mean the same thing in like a triple stack or like the fucking word phrases or whatever the fuck. I'm in linguistics. I should know how to talk about this. The individual fucking like nodes of words mean the same thing. Like 3 triple, 3 stack, triple stack. They should be the same thing, but they totally don't.
Because we're assuming we're not starting at 0th, we're starting at first. So yeah,
like
that's the difference.
Triple stack means they stacked it 3 times. 3 stack means there's 3 of them. I don't know. Anyway, that just always bothered me.
And now it's going to bother me and maybe many of our listeners as well. Anyway, I had 2 stacks, 2 sets of Ancient Creeps.
There we go.
At 7 minutes. And I was really good about continuing that. I think it ended up at a 4 stack.
Like 10 minutes or something?
At like 10. What would that be? 8 to 9. Yeah, 10 minutes.
Maybe 9 if you got it. No, I mean you get your Helm of the Dominants, but you don't have the actual stack until like 8 minutes.
Yeah, so I had a stack. 10. I had a stack at 7 minutes. So I had like a quad. I had 4. Jesus, this is gonna bug me, and I'm gonna fuck up on this.
I think quad stack is fine.
Okay,
I think quad stack can mean 4 sets. I think the main issue is triple and double. Because if you say a double stack, I'm thinking you stacked it twice. Yeah.
Like I've stacked this thing twice. Yeah, double stack, triple stack.
Because otherwise, why would you bother
quadruple...
saying it? Because otherwise, you could just say a stack.
Exactly, a stack. Anyway, I had 4, and then I'm very conscious of my Ancients, and I have my range creep, which this is something that it's I know it's 90 experience and about 40 gold, but I always dom the opposing range creep. Just because
it's the best thing to do.
It's a great creep to stack with, of course.
Yeah,
and it's
good range,
and it's accessible, super accessible. Yeah. It's like it's right there. I get my dom. Next wave, I can grab it, move it, easy, done, easy. But I think nice. Oh god, 90 experience and 40 gold, especially as a Sven, where I mean I'm not missing many last hits. If I'm like in the zone.
The thing that you have to be most careful about, I think, is that you don't fuck up your lane equilibrium when you do it. Because if it's like you immediately dom a ranged creep, then your lane's gonna push.
Well,
gonna happen.
Yeah, and the great thing, which is something I'll implement because there will be many a more Sven game, is once you dominate something, it'll go to full health. So you can let that range creep live and do its job, pushing your creeps back, and right when it's about to die, dom it.
But at the same time, though, like as soon as you get your dom, you want to start.
You want to send that thing over.
The domination process.
Yeah. And getting a dom at like 5:45 or 6, something like that, and then grabbing the range and hurrying sending it over to get the 7-minute stack was like of utmost importance to me because I also had the challenge on to kill Ancients, which whatever. I was going to play Sven anyway. It was serendipitous that I had this challenge as well, and I ended up getting the challenge.
Like you can do it and just like let the lane push and then just do the stack pull thing on the hard camp, and then I mean you have Dom, you're gonna start clearing that shit anyways.
Well, I had a good support that was doing the 53 pull from the hard camp, so it stacks the hard camp and then pulls the wave. So I had like the advantage of I was not only farming the lane, I was farming the hard camp that was usually 2 or 3 big. and then going over to the ancient. And what I realized, not during the game, but watching the game, was my laning phase ended when I went to take my ancients. I had my treads. I went quarterstaff first because I built it in the side shop, and I was like, okay, I'll grab that.
You mean Oblivion staff?
Oblivion staff. I
Okay.
bought the quarterstaff at first because I was like, oh, attack speed. And then I bought the Sage's Mask. I was like, oh, mana. And then I bought the robe of
Yeah.
mage.
So where did you go? Was it like Dom Treads, Oblivion stuff? That's what I go.
Yeah, Dom Tread's Oblivion Staff. Before I cleared the Ancients, I had my Ogre Club, and then I had the Echo Saber, cleared the four, and was pretty close to a blink. And then I realized, yes, I didn't want to give up safe lane necessarily. It wasn't that I didn't value the farm in safe lane.
Hey, where are we going with this?
I'm saying this is when I noticed in the replay that the laning phase, this is when it had ended for me.
Okay.
Was
All right,
around
I just wanted
10
to
minutes.
tie it back to the topic.
Sure, yeah. And so when I went to take those ancients, whether I knew it or not while I was playing the game, when I was watching the replay, that was when I was like, pause, laning phase is over for me. Maybe it's not over for their safe laner, maybe it's not over for their mid, but for me, after I killed those ancients, laning phase is now over.
So let's stop. What does that
Okay.
even mean?
So what that means is I am not sitting there being babysat by a support in lane, moving within a 500 unit radius, basically. I am
Why
not. Say again?
Why not?
Because action is starting to brew, I guess. What I noticed is bottom. So I was dire. So my safe lane was top lane, and bottom was pushed heavily into our tower, and I saw an immediate potential for me to go in and assist our off lane, and we did, and assist in a kill. And so instead of me saying, great, I just got all this extra gold, I'm that much closer to Blink Dagger, I'm going to go back to safe lane, sit in that 500 unit radius, and just farm. Instead, I started saying, hey, look, let's help out off lane. Maybe they didn't do as well as I did. Mid, after off lane, I think I walked mid. I grabbed a rune. I went back to base. I got my Blink Dagger. It just seems like people just started moving around more. Was the only way that I could really describe the difference between laning phase and whatever comes after it, whatever you would call the phase after laning phase, where people they're not okay with just standing still and killing things anymore.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to target in on what I consider the main motivation for I mean, there's several reasons why phases of the game switch. I mean, we know that standard phases, there's like early game, which is there's laning phase, and then like early mid game, mid late game, which sounds kind of weird, but that's what it is. Deal with it. But I want to try to hone in on like the main force between why these phases will change. So like, why do you think the laning phase ends as time goes on? I mean, like the laning phase basically means to me like the time when you're almost only concerned with the lane you are assigned, and there's very little interaction
The acceleration
between you and the other
phase,
lanes.
or something like that.
Say again.
The acceleration phase, I guess, is what you could call the laning phase. I feel like it ends
I don't
because
think I'd call it that.
ultimate abilities are coming up for supports. Ultimate
What does
abilities.
that mean though?
That means supports now become much more versatile. Instead of being able to do one or two things, maybe they're able to do three things.
Okay. Okay, so maybe a difference between at least the amount of pressure they can exert, or maybe a difference between the amount of area that they can like exert pressure on, kind of.
Yeah, well, I'll use Shadow Shaman for example. When Shadow Shaman hits level 6, do I want him to just stand there and keep polling for me? No, I probably want to push my lane.
Shadow Shaman is like the perfect example of what I wanted to try to hone on. All right, so what
Okay.
is Shadow Shaman's wards like? In what way does that change the power dynamic of Shadow Shaman?
It changes the fact that we don't want to sit stagnant. We want to push and get an objective like immediately.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about objectives now. So like basically as the game goes on, Shadow Shaman gets stronger than the objectives, right?
Sure, yeah, you drop those words down.
Okay.
Especially with, and I have to pause. You telling me that there's no backdoor protection on tier 1s has changed my life.
Yeah,
It literally has.
I think if I was to define my play in one word, I guess 2 words, it would be ignoring backdoor, or just like backdoor.
It's because you're a lone druid player.
I don't know, dude. Yeah, like there have been so many times, like so many games have been either won or lost by me saying, "No, I can get it through backdoor protection. Let's try to get this through backdoor protection." Like,
I'm
no,
sure
just
you
hit it. Don't
can.
worry about backdoor protection. We're fine. Like,
I
I want to
just
say 20% of my games there exists at least one instance of me further testing the limits of backdoor protection.
I mean, I understand why I assumed there was backdoor protection on tier 1 because
Yeah, there's backdoor protection on everything else.
well, not only that, but I'm never strong enough to tank a tower and kill it
Yeah,
without
you
creeps.
You just don't fucking
Exactly. And that's the big realization here. But Shadow Shaman objectives, the ultimate ability, the Serpent Wards now becomes more powerful than the objective, which is in this case probably a tier 1.
Okay, so I'm not even gonna bother trying to wiggle this out of you for a long time. And not that I don't think you don't know this or whatever, but just because it's not a good use of time. But like the main reason I think, or at least one of the main reasons for changes in game phases, are that like players scale more than the PvE of the game. Like jungle creeps don't scale at all. Lane creeps barely scale. Roche doesn't scale that much. Towers do not scale at all. So like as heroes get stronger, one of the main differences is the PvE elements of the game just like do not scale at all with them. So they just are drastically diminished as obstacles.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So, yeah, everything is pretty much staying the same. Neutral creeps are, at least. Creeps, yeah, minorly. They give a little bit more.
And there's more of them, but that just means more gold.
Yeah, that just means it doesn't mean it's necessarily harder to take. Plus, your skills are getting stronger as a hero. Sven as example, your cleave going up, your war cry getting stronger, easier to cut through things. So
hell yeah, dude.
I mean, it definitely makes it makes a lot of sense, but you just need, it's one of those things you just need somebody to be like, hey, look, everything else, like the bones, we've been calling it the bones for however many episodes we've been doing this. The bones stay the same. It's the muscular tissue that gets stronger.
If someone calls you big boned, like that's not true. Your bones are the same size as everybody else's bones. Those bones don't change. You just
Well, I think they grow. I believe they
I mean, bones
grow.
grow as you age, but like your bones don't like get thicker.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody big.
I'm
boned.
glad we've debunked the big boned theory. So yeah, no, Shadow Shaman. This was not in my game, but I think he's a prime example of, or Warlock, or most supports, with the exception of like Crystal Maiden, I guess, where it's level 6 time. It's time to go. Tidehunter, it's level 6. It's time to go. I mean, on our last episode, we talked about you having expectations for people to, the second your offlaner gets level 6 and has a big spell like Tidehunter, to move to you and to take advantage of that. And the other thing to note with you saying everything stays the same while your hero gets stronger, well, the other heroes are getting stronger. So using your ultimate as soon as you get it makes a lot of sense instead of waiting, because then the other heroes are getting stronger, right? You want to use it. You have to assume that when you get your level 6, you are at your strongest in comparison to the other hero. And the longer you wait, they're only catching up to you or getting further ahead.
I want to throw something else in here in terms of like I want to kind of like be running a list of like things that force the game phase to shift and that sort of thing. So on one hand, I think you're very right about like the power, like people getting stronger, but I feel like we can kind of narrow that down a bit more. So there's definitely people getting stronger than the PvE objectives. Like that's totally one of them. Like the fact that once you hit like 60 minutes and my lone druid can backdoor through a tier 4 or whatever's backdoor protection, like that puts the game in a state beyond late game where it's just this arcane like, oh, we poke and prod, the base is like basically has 1 HP, we just need to pounce on things. Like it can go like that. But another thing, I think, and kind of on the topic of Tidehunter being able to like TP and Ravage or Blink Ravage or that sort of thing. I want to kind of paint the picture that at every stage in the game, I feel like your damage or your ability to win a team fight versus the other team's ability to win a team fight, or like your damage potential, your ability to kill other heroes versus them killing you, never really changes. Like at level 1, you all can kill each other really fucking fast. Some of the fastest at any point in the game. It's just the difference is it's really hard for you to like be able to, I guess, perform your abilities or perform your
I'd say coordination is the big issue at level 1.
I don't want to say it as coordination so much as like the difference between, okay, like let's take Troll Warlord. Like if or I guess I'll say Sven. The difference between a Sven and a Sven with a Blink. Like Sven with Blink, he's not getting stronger. It's just that the Blink allows him to do his shit to you.
Exactly.
And at level 1, everyone is just as strong. Level 1 versus level 1, they're just as strong as they are, like level 10 versus level 10. But you have more tools to like be able to hold on to people or to claim areas of control. Like even just the topic of the Tidehunter. Once he has, obviously there's a big difference between level 5 Tidehunter and a level 6 Tidehunter. But ignoring like the stun aspect of Ravage, the damage potential is like fairly similar. It's just the fact that he can teleport somewhere and then like force someone to accept his girth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like they definitely do get stronger, but one of the main ways that they like get stronger is that they can force their advantage to turn into like a fight that can't be walked away from. And that kind of ties into the destroying like PvE obstacles. Like if you're strong enough that you're just like taking down towers, that's another aspect of like you can't be ignored and you're forcing like the fights to happen. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And nowhere is this more apparent than I don't know if I was on the Lycan kick last week, but the Lycan kick continued and realized it happened after that night where you and I played Tiny IO 3 times. That I realized, okay, there's no
Tiny just sucks, by the way. Tiny's just a fucking bad hero now. I was talking to Scrunk and I was like, am I just a bad Tiny or does Tiny suck now? He's like, yeah, Tiny's unplayable.
It was my fault. It was I learned a lot of good info, and I feel like if we want to talk about Patreon rewards, like be the IO to Proud's Tiny, and you will learn a lot of new terminology, and it'll just like click. Crowding is something I don't even want to go into it on this show. I want to go into it another time, but god damn it was that helpful. But the biggest takeaway, obviously, the backdoor protection on tier 1s, and my Lycan being able to just Wolves, Necrobook, Howl, turn into wolf form, move faster than max move speed, and hey, guess what? I am basically pushing you and saying fight me, as I'm taking your tier 1, and then you fortify, and I'm still like, come on, bro, pushing you like, what, you pussy? What? Come on, you pussy, fight me, and I'm just come on, and then I force the fight there, and I get the hell back, and I take the tower, and guess what? It's like if you ever play with bots in Dota 2, if you ping somewhere, all the bots will start walking to where you ping. That is Lycan, is what I'm realizing.
I was like teaching a friend how to play Dota. We watched Free to Play or whatever, and then it was like, yo, I gotta play Dota now, and I was like, all right. And then we were playing like a bot game, and I was guiding him, but then his bots just were like chain feeding, and I'm like, actually, this game's gonna be hard. So we just had to like abuse their AI. Like anytime they tried to push, we'd like right click one of their towers, and they would run back, and like, oh my god, like I had to like hold his mouse for some of the things because like I'm so sorry, but you're gonna lose this bot game if I don't take over right now. And obviously, he never played Dota again for the rest of his life. He's like, this is stupid as fuck.
I mean, it's such a complex game, and when you
it is. I knew he was never gonna play Dota. He just watched Free to Play, and he's like mid-30s lawyer, and he was like, God damn it, I need to play this game now. And I was like, buddy, not gonna work like that.
Free to Play. I watched Free to Play before ever playing Dota, and it didn't. It was in my StarCraft phase, and it didn't make me want to play Dota necessarily. It just was a spectacle. It was a really good documentary because it was just like, wow, that's cool. So tying back to the elements of the game, the phases of the game, what is after laning phase? How do you define it? When
tier 1 taking phase, aka the early game.
So it goes laning phase, early game. Is how most people would put it.
I think so. I mean, like you can throw early game in the same like phrase or whatever, but if the laning phase ends at 8 minutes, which I think it is about when it does, I don't think that. Which is why like minute or like metrics for like what my farm should be at 10 minutes. I feel like it's shitty. Like we're fucking slaves to the Deca system, man.
Yeah,
fucking slaves.
We love our 10s and our 20s and our 30s and our 40s.
Right,
and
but
our
like
50s.
that's like Dota just doesn't fit to that. Like Dota's like a 35-minute game. It's not like a third of it isn't last hitting in lane. Like that's not fucking what happens. It's like you last it for like 8 minutes and maybe and then like the laning phase will like end and then you'll just be either free hitting a lane or like three people will rotate to your lane by after 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one or the other. Like if you're trying to measure your CS by 10 minutes and between minutes 8 and 10, either you're going to be left alone or like four people are going to rotate and like kill you and like take your tower. That's not useful because you could just be answered like, oh, did my tower get taken at 9 minutes? Then my CS wasn't good at 10 minutes anyway. That's a different trade.
Dude, that's a good point. And before we go any further, I've noticed that like when I'm having a killer laning phase, and we'll say up to 8 minutes, and I look down at 2 minutes, I'm sitting at like 12 or something like that. I'm like, oh hell yeah, and then like 4 minutes, I'm like 22 last hits or something like that. 6 minutes, I'm getting into the 30s. 7 minutes, I'm getting close to the 40s, or I'm at the 40s. And 8 minutes, I'm at like 40. I'm feeling good. And then, but I do
40 by 8 is like honestly pretty good.
Oh, it's excellent. Especially for me.
Yeah.
And then you're absolutely right. Then Pudge comes down to my lane. And now I have to think, oh god, I want to last hit for the next 2 minutes because I need to have 60 by 10. But I have to watch my positioning way more so than I did before because I know there's a Pudge in those trees over there. Yeah. And I know he wants to hook me.
Like obviously you never want that to farm down or to slow down or whatever. You don't want your farm to slow down. That's where the word farm came from in my previous attempt. Fuck you. Like you don't want it to slow down like that, but you do have to like you can't look at that as like, oh, I'm bad at last hitting. I didn't get any farm post 9 minutes after there were 3 heroes in my lane. Like fucking obviously, dude, but anyway.
And I mean I think that goes back to episode 1 of Proudland where it's like if it's, there's no such thing as one-on-one. I love that. And that's something that...
I didn't say that. So there's no such thing as a solo kill. There definitely do exist 1v1s.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a solo kill. And although that is like a rule of thumb, like if there's a guy that all you have to do is shoot him once with like your right click as Mirana, that's a solo kill, whatever. I mean, but if we are both level 10 and we go and we clash... chances are you're best just to get a trade, or you die and he barely lives, or he dies and you barely live and you have to go home, and it kind of sucks anyway. So implanting that into my game has helped tremendously. But I mean, the same is true for like 2v2s, right? And like 3v3s and 4v4s.
Well,
I mean,
it can depend. Like once you get to that, because so I say that similar to every call I make in a pub and every command I really ever give. Is that no one is actually ever going to listen to anything another human being says, but they will take it into account. So if I tell someone there's no way you're going to kill that guy, they're only going to do it if they know for certain they're going to get a kill. So like, there's no such thing as a solo kill, but then again, when I'm playing Lone Druid and I root you twice in a row, I'm going to go for that.
Yeah, exactly. So in a vacuum, no such thing as a solo kill, but...
crazy shit happens because it's Dota. But in general, like, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, which, I mean, most people don't, just, like, don't go for a solo kill. If it presents itself, just, like, open wide and try to catch it in your mouth. But if not, just, like, it's not. Don't, like, I don't know, don't jump head first with your mouth open, like, at the grape being tossed at you. Just open and be like, oh, hey, I caught it. Don't fucking faceplant into the concrete trying to catch that shit, man.
Oh, and it's making me so much better. I mean, that was something that, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was StarCraft. Maybe it was impatience. Maybe it was something. But my dive, like, it took years to get my dive to die. And I still think it exists. But... I am starting to get to the point where I'm turning around like 5 seconds before my teammates are. And they chase and they chase and they chase and the guy gets away, and it's just a feeling, you know what I mean? it's maybe impossible. It's possible to teach, but it would take a lot of conditioning and a lot of situational practice. But just to be able to be like, nope, that CK only has 100 health, but there's no way you're gonna get him. I promise. We don't have the tools. We don't have that blink dagger.
Yeah.
Anyway, so laning phase ends. We're in the early game. What would you describe is the goal of early game? I mean, we know the goal of Dota 2.
Get them T1s, man. Gotta get them T1s.
Every tier 1's in order.
If you're winning, yes.
Okay. Mid T1. I mean, I know I've asked you this question before. It depends on which T1. Depends on which side you're on.
So, okay, this is something that I'm going to need to be, like, understanding as I say it. But there are a lot of games that I'm in, and let's say I'm doing really... Normally I notice it when I'm doing well. Like, okay, so let's say we win safe lane, and then both my supports just rotate to off lane, because, like, our off laner's just bitching all games. Like, I keep dying here, and then my off laners rotate too, or my supports rotate, and then they also die, and then our mid rotates too, and then they all die. And, like, the thought I have is, like, why are we playing to our worst lane? Like, play to the lane that won. Don't play around our fucking shit hero who just got killed 4 times and, like, go die with him.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so
Proud for president, dude. That encompasses my Broodmother games perfectly. When it's, like, 16 minutes and I'm on a tier 3, and I'm like, guys, I'm, like, winning this lane so hardcore that I'm like 5v1 right now. Come to my lane, please. God, come to my lane. And anyway.
That's not to say like the play that I do with Flub mid is with Flub mid I try to be super active, and like even if my lane wins, I can't wait for the fight to be in my lane, or like I'll push the tier 1, or that won't even matter because our other lanes will like get pushed somewhere because like I don't know, Flub will go to help another lane because he wants to fight, and then their mid will just take our mid tier 1, and then that'll fucking suck because we'll trade like a fight for a fucking mid tier 1, which is awful. Which isn't against any individual players. I'm just saying that's how it works if I just go to my own lane. But like, okay, so it's not so much play to the lane that won, unless there are 3 heroes still just hanging out in that lane who aren't mobile. Because like 1 hero can move very well. Moving 3 heroes obviously takes 3 times the effort. But you want to play to the heroes that are ahead out of the lane that won, right? Does that make more sense?
Oh yeah.
So like if I'm winning on my Juggernaut, we want to play to me, and that can either be on me or that can be on my team, because it's so like normally what I do when I'm playing Juggernaut and I'm doing well and Skrunk does okay and Flub wants to fight, as I'm just like, yo, can we fight top? And then I'll get a maybe. And then, if I'm 6 and I have my Omni Slash, I'll just port up top and then we'll fucking kill someone. So like we're still playing to the safe laner. So the lane that won, we're playing to the players in the lane that won. So like this, we're playing to the safe laner, but it's more like I'm making them play to me. You got to make sure that you're always doing something with the players that are ahead, and the players that are behind are like catching up.
So shitty Artosis analysis when you're ahead, get further ahead.
Yeah, but it's like Dota, so it's much less clean than StarCraft. So it's like when certain players on your team are ahead, make them further ahead, and when you're behind, when certain players on your team are behind, they need to catch up.
For sure. Okay, so early game, it goes the way that you wanted it to. You're winning your safe lane. Your level 6 Tidehunter Skrunk knows to TP right down to you the second he gets Ravage. You get
if you need it, like
if you need
normally
it.
Like if I'm try, then that's the best time ever. But if I'm against like a fucking faceless void and I'm like,
maybe you don't need it, because he can just blip away the second it's over.
Yeah, don't solo Ravage a faceless void at full health.
That makes me cringe just thinking about it, honestly. Yeah. Okay, so try Skrunk comes down, he's Tidehunter, he's level 6, he hits that Ravage, you push the tier 1, you take the tier 1. Does this now mark the end of the early game? Where are these delineations being made? Like when are we moving past the early game?
So the early game, okay, so I think we move, okay, that point in Dota where you don't have any obvious objectives to take? Roshan's a little bit too difficult for any team to take.
Or maybe you're not thinking about it, or maybe you're just like, there's nothing to take, I'm going to go to the jungle. How are the Ancients doing? Like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's this huge expanse of time. And, like, I think my first 2 or 3 years playing Dota, where I had no fucking idea what to do. All the tier ones were taken, and I feel like the laning phase only ends once the like it's I wouldn't say all the tier ones, but at least one team has lost all of their tier ones. I think that's pretty easy to say. Like if one team has lost all of their tier ones, that's when like definitely the early game is over and you've gone into mid game. But there's this weird like strange part of the game where you don't have any obvious objectives. You're not strong enough to just walk up to a tier 2 and fight it. You need to get pickoffs, but like everyone's sitting on their own side of the map. Like, you know, the phase of the game we're talking about where there's like nothing to do.
Yeah, it's
like,
I mean, when playing with you guys, when this phase comes up and I'm playing support, hey Proud, and you're like, yeah, what's up? What should I be doing? You're like, I don't know, stack of camp, ward, I don't know. Yes, I know this stage of the game very well.
Yeah, that's the when I was playing in-houses, I don't know how this, but there was like one time where it was just like the Proud maneuver is just when nothing's happening, just smoke their jungle every time.
Well, no, this happened because you've talked about it on the show several times. I think the first time I met you, this was brought up where you're like, don't know what to do, get everybody together and smoke their jungle. And like, don't know what to do, smoke their jungle.
Smoke the jungle, I don't know, smoke the jungle.
And it fucking works, dude. Because they're at the same impasse where they're like, well, we have nothing to do, we can't really take their tier 2s, and, well, we'll go to the jungle, and we'll go to the Ancients. And if you can say, hey, they're at the same point we're at, they don't know what the fuck to do right now, and we kind of don't know what the fuck to do right now. I have a bright idea. This smoke that's been on cooldown because we still have 3 because nobody spends 50 gold to buy one.
Yep.
Let's buy all 3 of them, get them on cooldown, and use one of them and go kill a bitch. I love it. Yeah. No, yeah. I do this as well.
There was a phase, like, this is about the same time when I didn't know what the fuck to do in that phase of the game. No, maybe this is like my first year or so of playing. I started playing Dota 1 like before smokes got in, so when I got into Dota 2, I was like totally unused to them. And at some point, I realized that smoking basically never went badly, and I was like, wait a sec, if you have a smoke, just use it every time and like kill a support at worst. And like that kind of transformed my game a lot. But I didn't play support, so it was very difficult for me to act on this. I would just be like, yo, someone smoke. And they hadn't had this insane epiphany that I had, and they'd be like, what smoke for? I don't know.
I think like, it's to like get into Roshan when you're liking. I think that's the only reason.
The only thing the only Ursa too.
Oh no, Ursa should have a blink, right? Ursa should just blink in and
or depend on his teammates to force staff him in. No, Ursa buys the
I know.
Save the Mask of whatever. I always called it Mask of Murder because that's what it was in Warcraft 3, but it's
really?
Mask of Death. Yeah, Mask of Murder.
It's Morbid Mask is what you're talking about.
Oh wait, is it Morbid?
Yeah,
Mask?
Are you talking the 900 gold lifesteal mask? Yeah, Morbid Mask.
Wait, where the fuck are they?
Morbid Mask.
They added items into this game. Oh wait, it's under learn items.
Morbid.
But I'm not saying I disbelieve you. I just need to see it. Morbid Mask. Okay, wait, what is Mask of Death?
Nothing. There's no such thing as Mask of Death.
And Mask of Murder was Warcraft 3, right?
You know, I didn't really. I played Line Tower D. Like, that's what I did in Warcraft 3. I didn't even play really Warcraft 3 at all. I was more into StarCraft, and then when I was bored from StarCraft, I'd pop on and play like Line Tower Defense.
I have no idea. Am I just...
You're probably not wrong. I mean, Mask of Murder sounds awesome, but I know that they'd probably change that because in China you can't show skulls and stuff like that. So I'm guessing they don't want like super inflammatory words like murder.
No, Mask of Death was Morbid Mask. Maybe Murder was like it's Warcraft 3 name.
That sounds like the Fast Mask. What's it called? Mask of Madness. What is that? Is that
Mask of Madness?
Does that still exist? Did they take that out of the game?
Yeah,
Mask
I've
of
seen
Madness?
people build it on jugs sometimes recently.
Oh, it's still being built. Okay.
I mean, it stopped, but now, like if you're with a Magnus, I've seen it anyway.
If I'm to be Nostradamus of Dota 2, I'm gonna go ahead and say that item's gonna be changed in the next patch.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah, that talk about probably the least used item.
All right, guess one other item that's gonna be changed.
So I know that these dead end items are gonna be changed. I feel like Rod of Atos is a dead end item.
Well, Rod of Atos is obviously going to be changed. Like that item has not gone a single patch without getting fucking
No, I mean, like, I feel like
walk
Rod of
around.
Atos will go the way of Dragonlance. Like, it'll build into something.
Yeah, maybe.
And an item that definitely will be changed is Raindrops, for sure.
Okay.
I feel like they'll add, like, a longer cooldown to him.
Yeah,
Just 'cause
this actually isn't an interesting question anymore. Helvin's Halberd, I think, will get changed too, but I don't really care about this answer.
Yeah, Heaven's Halberd. Anyway, okay, so you smoke the jungle. You're in early game. You find that kill. When are we starting to say, okay, we're in mid game? And before you answer,
Okay, no, stop it.
you stop it. But go ahead.
Okay, so like the goal. Okay, I think it's pretty easy, and maybe it's a little bit cheating to be like early game is like dealing with the tier 1s. Mid game is dealing with the tier 2s, and then late game is dealing with the tier 3s. I feel like that's pretty fucking rote. Like,
I've heard it dumbed down even more. Level 1 through 10 is laning phase, 10 through 15 is mid game, and 16 plus is late game.
Fuck.
That
Who
is
the
literally
fuck said that.
I'm not even gonna cite where I found that, but that was literally a source that I
Does
found.
this person know that some people are supports and some people are cores?
Nope. When you're 16 plus, it's late game, dog. That's how it works. According
Like
to,
a broker that has like
I will-
fucking Midas.
I'll say it's a very reputable Dota 2 website as well. And this is there are only 3 stages in Dota 2, and it's levels 1 through 10, 10 through 15, and 16
I
over.
admire how simple that is, but it definitely it's definitely a little because it's like that is so simple that it's actually disingenuous, but it's still like remarkable how easily like encapsulated that is. So I like it, but also don't listen to that, please.
Yeah, I mean, and their argument was when you're at 16, that's when you're at your most powerful, and it's like, oh god, no shit.
Well, that's
to a certain
strictly not true.
to a certain I mean, that's when you got all your spells.
Tell that to Invoker.
Tell that to Meepo.
Tell that to.
That's it.
That's all the only heroes.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all the heroes in Dota.
That's it. All right, so you don't want
16 sucks. Name one hero who's 16 just fucking sucks.
somebody's.
Dusa doesn't give a shit about being 16.
Oh yeah, Dusa doesn't give a shit about. There was a hero that was like at the tip of my tongue too. That was just like, whatever. I know a lot of heroes that like their level 6 sucks, but their level
their
6,
ultis aren't. Like,
yeah,
like fucking Underlord, like whatever. He
Yeah.
likes level 14.
yeah, it's just
Terrorblade.
like, whatever. Terrorblade's ultimate, you can get at level 1. I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean
which
the
is
mana cost
Metamorphosis.
going down is pretty significant, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Okay, so let's try and get to where you're starting to feel like. Okay, so I was gonna stop you earlier because I feel like items play a big role in the
You're not
changing
wrong,
of the
but
game.
wait, so the point of like, okay, so the main thing in the mid game, like the mid game is the knife fight period. There is this man when I was when like Toonami was on, there was like one episode of like Yu Yu Hakusho that I saw, and I think it was like after the tournament shit, but there was like one thing where he was like fighting this dude, and like I don't even remember how this happened, but like I don't know, they didn't have powers anyway. All he did is he like took his shirt. And he fucking, like, he got it, like, wet. This was, like, mid-combat with, like, the fucking big dude. And, like, he grabbed the dude's arm, and then he, like, rat-tailed or something, or just, like, got the shirt to wrap around their arms. And so they were, like, tied together at the arms, and they just started, like, knife fighting. I don't really know how it happened, but all I know is it's, like, a knife fight where both people are, like, tied at the arms. So, like, you have to be knife fighting the whole time. You don't want to get stabbed. So that's mid-game.
Does that
make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yu Yu Hakusho. I like never watched that show, but that one image has been in my mind for like 10 years.
So mid game is when it's like
It's when Yu Yu Hakusho grabs your arm and wraps his shirt around it and tries to stab you with a knife.
Okay, you're Phantom Assassin, and we're in mid game. What are you doing?
I want to be Kuwabara.
What are you doing? You're Phantom Assassin, and
I'm looking for a fucking kill.
So are you solo? Are you saying come with me? What are you doing?
I got some boys.
Okay, you got like your supports
Got
or
some boys with me.
more
Looking to stab
description,
someone with a
please.
fucking knife.
I know, literally. You're throwing
No, yeah, so
daggers.
that's, okay, so I said that you want tier 2s in the mid game, right? And you can't the mid game, as I said earlier, this is the point in the game where you can't just like fucking roll up to a tier 2 and be like, "Hey, you're dead now." Like you can't do that. You need an opening. You need to fucking kill off their silencer so they don't have global, and then you push off that, or kill their invoker, or like kill their carry. you need to like get some kind of pick to create some kind of opening. And an opening normally is a kill, but it might be, like a big item timing. Like let's say I just get my BKB on my Luna, and and she's like Dragonlance pushing a tower, but she has BKB, so that can't engage on us. So like that's the kind of like you need to fish for an advantage, and like maybe that can be a huge item timing if like I get my item, and then you're still like you have 3,000 gold, but you're still like 1,000 gold off your next item. Like that's an ideal time to push. Like that's a StarCraft timing. Like what my upgrade hits and your upgrade hasn't hit yet. That's when I want to go. But in the absence of that, because it's very difficult. Like Dota's such a fucking liquid game. Like everything is malleable and all this shit. You never really know what's going on 100%. Sometimes might even not know if you're ahead or behind. But so you can just like. I don't know. It's really difficult to know if you're up on items because people can be hiding things, like people hiding a fucking refresher orb. Like there's a game that happened recently, just shit like that. So normally you have to just go for like a pick off or something.
So you kill a guy, you take a tier 2,
murder a motherfucker. Let's be clear here.
Murder a motherfucker, and welcome to the mid to late game.
Kill a motherfucker, take a tier 2. Kill a motherfucker, take a tier 2. Kill a motherfucker, take a tier 2. Now I'd say you're about to transition you're transitioning to the late game.
Okay, so I'm Luna. I got my BKB. We're pushing tier 2s. We've now taken, in fact, all 3 tier 2s. And I have my butterfly almost complete.
Definitely you're in the late game. Okay, so I'm going to say that phases in Dota are marked by a few things. There's like how many towers have been taken, your item progression, like how much gold you have, which also kind of ties into how much stronger you are than the map. I guess the clock.
So the way I put it was time is the constant. So no matter what, time is going to put you into different phases of the game. And this is coming from me. And experience and gold are the variables in which you exist within the constant of time.
Sure.
Pretty eloquent,
sure.
Huh? Pretty good.
Yeah, it's great.
I wrote that myself.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Good job.
Time is constant, gold and experience are variables, because no matter what happens, if a game goes 45 minutes long, even if nobody's farmed or anything, your creeps are getting stronger.
Passive gold.
You're still probably getting experience, somewhere. Like it's still going to switch into these different modes. But what I noticed, going back to watching your games and a few other people's games, is for the most part, the phases in the game don't really change that drastically from 5K to 3K to my K.
Yeah, they just happen like at 1.25 times speed.
Yeah, like so yeah, maybe you get your items faster, and yeah, maybe things are happening faster at higher skill levels, but for the most part, tier 2s are falling around the same time. High ground pushes are happening around the same time, whether that be 2K or whether that be 5K, and games are ending around the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
Is what I noticed. Maybe it's with less items, but hey, if you're 6 slotted at 20 minutes against another guy who's 6 slotted, that's the same as me having 1 item against the guy who only has 1 item. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes out in the wash.
Yeah, the difference is so I would kind of hark this back to like there are a lot of times where I'm like this maybe a few years ago when I was playing like different kinds of pro games. Like I was playing a lot of like very small tournaments, not pro games, but competitive. And I would always like immediately stalk the player I'm going against. Like I would stalk their carry, and this was like maybe even before MMR and that sort of thing. And I'd be like trying to figure out how good they are. And then I would see some game, and I was like trying to decode their like whether or not they should have gotten that much GPM for this game, or if they should have gotten more. But it's like, sometimes this person would turn out to be 2K, but they did have 700 GPM in a game just because it turns out they killed everyone. When you kill people, you get gold. Like when you're winning, you have high GPM. That's just how Dota works. It's very difficult, to like.
Well, that's just how graphs work. I mean, if you just stripped it down to like its code. Whatever's winning is obviously getting more gold and more experience. Unless you're some cheesy-ass Drow Shadow Demon strat where you just chip away at a base and you only have 1 kill on your side, but you win somehow. Anyway, I hate that.
Or Shadow Demon Sniper. Look forward to it.
Ugh.
Coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. Or the anti-mage fucking Shadow Demon is
That's
ugly
not
too.
good. It's the range now. That's the only reason it's decent.
Oh, dude,
Dude, Sniper's good now. I mean,
Yeah, no,
I
played
talked about that shit on Theorycraft, but I had to play him safe lane because the game we were in was shit. But hey, man, I said Sniper is gonna get picked soon, and he's gonna be good. And here he is.
He so I have like 26 rampages or something like that, and I think 22 of them came from 6.83 sniper.
You're awful.
and
I hate you.
and every single one came from me like literally standing still.
Yep.
Like I'd hit Mask of Madness and just double triple ultra rampage, and like it's just like what the fuck? It was
That sounded a lot like me impersonating Street Sex on the early week.
You got that scream down. Okay, so are items defining late game? Are levels defining late game? Is it a mixture of both? Is it the time? Can late game
I guess it has
happen?
to be both.
Can late game happen at 20 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Does that so? That was something I was talking because I talked with Denny for a little bit when I was preparing like some talking points for this episode, and I was like, so
Okay, I know that guy.
yeah, you do know that guy, and I was like, okay, so we played a game with Ink. He's this like really good Meepo player. He's like a 7K Meepo player. And he came on the show, and then he played a game with us where it was 4 of us scrubs and then him as Meepo. And I'm playing Timbersaw, I'm kicking ass, and I'm like level 9, and it's like, I don't know, 11 minutes or something like that.
Fuck
and
yeah,
he's
dude.
like level 20.
Yep.
Is this late game?
One player individually doesn't make it late game. I would just say that was a stomp.
Okay, so
Like if I'm 1,000 GPM and the other team's at 400, and like we still all have all of our tier 1s and it's 18 minutes, but like I'm on Terrorblade and I have like Butterfly Scotty, I wouldn't say we're at late game. I'd just say I'm fat as shit. But like let's say okay, so like the level of Dota right now, anyways, the way people are talking about it, the best teams are the teams that play quickly. When people were talking about what team was it?
Kaipa, Team Freedom, NP.
Not any team now. I was talking about like around TI. I think it was Secret,
Escape.
maybe. I don't know. There's some
Escape?
team that everyone was saying like this team, they were definitely going to win, or like we felt like they were going to win. They
Wings?
just played faster than everyone else. And maybe CDEC from last year you could apply this to, but like teams that just play faster, like they hit different stages of the game faster than other people. And like you can kind of feel it sometimes too. Like I'm sure you've been playing games and like on Sven specifically is one that where it comes out a lot. Sven should just be the fucking mascot for this show, honestly, because he comes up every game or every fucking time we do this. But like there's
He's a
sometimes
good
on
example.
Sven,
He's just a fucking good example.
he is. So you can be. And I was talking to someone about this, and I was like actually in disbelief at how fast you get items on Sven. But you can end up with BKB data, or I guess we'll start it. Dom, Echo, Blink, BKB, Daedalus, and your treads. Like you can have all that by like 33 minutes if you have a good game, and not even like an insane game.
Like if you're stacking like your ancients and past like so when I get
Not
that
a perfect game, just like an okay game.
yeah, no, okay. Oh, yeah. I feel like that would be like a pretty okay timing for my Sven. Would be like,
like
35 minutes
slot,
and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, like oh god, I'm dying.
Oh god, you're dying?
A simple, yeah, don't worry about it. A simple 6-slot Sven. Like obviously, I want to trade out my Dom for a fucking heart, and then
Trade out treads for travels and sure.
and get a moon shard. Yeah,
Mhm.
but anyway, yeah, like you can be a very simple 6-slotted Sven at like 30 minutes. So like if let's say all of our tier 2s and tier 1s are down, which they would have to be if all of our tier 2s are down, and I'm like a 6-slotted Sven, my supports are like level 12. We've just been farming super efficiently, but it's like 30 minutes into the game. Or even like 28, something like that. And then the enemy team is like they're 16. They don't have a great deal of levels, but like they've killed our towers. And like people are sufficiently strong enough that they have enough CC to just like burst down people and shit. Like the point where like one wrong move can kind of turn the game into a Rax being taken or like automatically end the game. Like the point where the game can feasibly end within like one set of decisions. I think you're definitely in late game, regardless of what the game timer says.
Yeah, no, and I feel that a lot with Sven. So I want to ask you a question before we close this show, because obviously that we late game.
How long has it been? What the fuck?
It's been an hour. I've got.
Oh my God.
I've got a baby incubating and a wife that needs me. So I want to leave on this note, which was our Battle Cup Saturday. We ended up losing in the quarterfinals, so we lost our first game.
Big surprise. Sorry.
It was not a big surprise.
So I didn't mean that at all.
No. Oh, it didn't hurt, dude. You're talking to a crocodile, dude. My skin is so fucking thick you couldn't eat, like that knife fight. You couldn't. Your knives would just bend like Luke Cage, dude. Like,
I'm very
super thick skin. So.
I die.
Anyway, so we're preparing for this battle cup, and I'm talking to Denny, and Denny and I were playing Friday night, and I randomed a techies, and this is of course normal. We're not playing ranked. I random a techies. I of course accept my random very happily, and Denny is going to be our carry, and he's like, "Oh God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" And I'm like, "Pick Spectre." Yes, exactly. I said pick Spectre because I'm going to get you to the point, no matter how hard your laning phase is, no matter how hard the early game is, no matter how hard the mid game is, no matter how hard the late game is, I'm going to turn this into one of those anomaly games, or whatever you call it, extreme late game, non-existent game should have been over, boring game, above 60 minutes, please shoot me in the face game.
Yep.
And I did, and it totally fucking worked, where Denny did not do extremely well in the laning phase, didn't do well in the early game, didn't do well in the mid game, got a super late Radiance timing, but yet I was able to keep the game alive long enough for the Spectre to win. And so the very next day, we said, look, we're doing Techie Spectre again, because we are able to force the game to be in such a phase that we know that this hero will win.
I see it, an hour and 6 minute long Spectre game followed by a Battle Cup loss.
Yeah, and we lost because a number of reasons. I think the biggest reason was oversight in draft. We thought that we covered all the carries that could go toe to toe with Spectre. Of course, Morphling, you can't really kill the bitch. I mean,
this game is incredible. 20 minutes in, they have 3 heroes above your fucking Spectre. Like, oh my God.
Are you talking about the Battle Cup game, or are you talking about
the other one, the pub you played? Like,
yeah. And so, and I knew,
awful.
I just knew, and he's like, it's over, and then ultra kill, from people walking over my bombs, or little mining spots, getting kills, and just basically just resetting the clock like a Naga siren. Just basically saying, nope, you're not going to fight us now because you just lost 2 of your carries. Now you can't push high ground. Yeah. And you know what? It worked in the Battle Cup. Absolutely. I don't think it was. I think our error was in our bans and picking Mirana.
Mirana's fine. Why did you not ban Invoker against someone named Inevoker?
Because we were so immediately.
That's the question.
This is what I did, and I'll walk you through my thought process. Yeah, and because we were still riding off the high of winning that game the night before, and we just didn't give a fuck so long as we got our. So
draft. What did you ban?
So I knew I didn't want Lifestealer. I was like, I don't want.
Why would you ban it? I mean, you didn't want Jakiro either, I imagine. You probably didn't want Bloodseeker.
So we didn't want the big 2. There were really only 2. And this is and you've got to realize I didn't consult you for like, hey, this is gonna be this is what we're trying to this is what we're gonna try and pick, so please tell me what we should ban. So we start off with a Zeus Lifestealer ban.
Okay, Zeus, I think is. I mean, like that's
because of the techies.
It's okay against techies. It's pretty decent compared to most other heroes.
I mean, he has free detection,
but it's good.
Yeah, free detection, whatever. It sucks.
Yeah, it's good against pub techies for sure.
It's not like a gem Night Stalker that has crazy vision and can just buy a quell and destroy your life.
I told you the fucking first Night Stalker game I ever played was like on my climb to 5K because I saw someone play techies and I just first picked it and he didn't play techies and we won.
And that's something that I didn't even think about until just now, and probably would have been a good ban. And then we ban anti-mage because we're like, anti-mage is a late game. And then they
Anti-mage is a late game.
like that's literally like the thought process that went into it. And then they banned Shadow Demon, and so we're like, all right, they want Omni Knight, and so we banned Omni Knight. And then our last ban was like Medusa, and we're like, fuck Medusa because that's a late game, and we don't want a late game. And then they fifth pick Morphling, and we're like, oh yeah. That late game. That sucks.
God, yeah, your support is lich techies. You are not equipped for a Morphling.
No. And the worst part was like the war. So, and we did Warlock mid. We did Corlock. Like we were.
Yeah, you have zero lockdown on this team. You do not.
No,
have
there
a
was
single
no
fucking
lockdown.
piece
We
of-
wanted Murano. We wanted Murano to be Tidehunter. That was our goal, was to have a big combo and let Spectre basically to be able to more or less like 3v5 while Spectre farms. And while Techies bombs, it was kind of the idea there, but we didn't do the Tidehunter.
Yeah,
and so
it's
still
cut it back a little
worked.
bit. If you do ever want to play like a 4v5 game, you need to. Oh God, you didn't even kill that CM. I'm watching this now. Sorry. You don't want a how to say this? Like you don't want a team that's like very large cooldown dependent. Like yeah, on one hand, the cooldowns can kind of make up for the fact that you only have like 4 people or that you're all going to be weak. Like you can rely on them to win you easy team fights. But at the same time, like
when you need
your
them, they're
only
not there.
ability to fight is going to be in a big team fight, right? If you have like Ravage and Golem, like you're never going to be able to get a pick off with that lineup.
Oh yeah, no, it was rough. So the big glaring flaw that we noticed first and foremost was we were able to lock the Morphling down briefly with the Golems, and the second they'd fall, all of a sudden it was a red Morphling. And then he became harder and harder and harder to kill.
Yep.
And then he
you can
just
make an illusion of your Spectre.
Yep, and then he just blooped away. And I was like, fuck. I don't even know if we killed the Morphling, but I will say I know I killed the Morphling a couple of times with bombs, but it didn't matter. Because
The
when
Morphling has 7 deaths, so I'm pretty sure you kill, at least at this point.
Yeah.
He was still...
I killed him, whatever. But by the end of the game, it was way too cooldown dependent. We just couldn't do it, and the Morphling got a shotgun, which meant one of us, whether it be Warlock, Marana, or myself, Techies, was just dead. I bought a Yule's to like the second he would shotgun me, I'd Yule. Anyway, it didn't matter. We lost, but the game did go extremely long, exactly as we wanted.
You just had a Warlock.
We just had a Warlock, which I mean. Our theory crafting in our minds was like, it's going to be great. What's going to happen is he's going to drop those golems. We're going to push all the way to the tier 3. Spectre's just going to be farming the entire time. Bombs are going to be put down. It's going to be great.
I mean,
and
you like successfully got it to hold off. You know, you held out until Spectre got big. It's just that
it just wasn't enough.
You just overestimated that Spectre could win late game, but he was against like 3 strong cores, and you didn't have any to help him.
And Invoker.
Well, Invoker is one of the 3 strong cores. In my mind.
Well, and his disable was just insane. And
Invoker
no matter
late game is no joke, man.
Yeah, it is no joke. And Invoker is another weird one as far as like ups and downs and phases in the game where he's good, he's bad, he's good, he's bad, he's really good, type thing. So. I mean, it was cool to mess with the phases of the game in the Battle Cup, and we successfully did that. That is one thing that, hands down, we successfully did make the game go later than it should have gone. We should have lost that game way earlier, and it was fun to manipulate that. But definitely,
Techies.
Techies is one of those heroes that he will make a game go long.
Yeah, I fucking hate him.
Yeah, me too. Especially after playing like as Techies for that long, and you're like, "Yep, I just got a triple kill, but we just used golems and our Spectre's dead, so we're gonna wait in base."
Oh, that's when you fucking run up and you start land mining their towers. Easy.
Yeah, except then, I don't know, we like lost hope pretty quick, and we were just holding on by bomb by bomb we were holding on until every bomb was gone, and then we lost. But it was still fun, and I had fun manipulating the laning phase. Once again, you guys, if you have any questions on minutia or how the game should work,
Wait, didn't you have that guy's email you wanted to read?
yeah, sure. Let's read his
late.
email. This is from his name's Levi.
Rumbo.
Levi Lawson, Levi_Lawson. We've all seen him. We've all played with him. He plays in the in-houses a lot. He's a super nice guy. We'll go ahead and read his email. It's not necessarily for our show, but nobody's ready yet. So it says, Dear .p hosts, I am a 1.7k solo and a 2.1k party MMR player, and I've been listening for about 6 to 8 months. Over the course of the past few months of listening, I've taken a lot of advice from all the hosts.
Mostly me, though, I think.
Yeah, definitely mostly you. He said, keep in mind I play support 99% of the time. He said, 1, harassing the...
Probably not me, actually.
Maybe. He
Support
said,
episode was my only...
no, this is something that I've heard come out of your mouth. So he said, 1, these are things that he's learned that he's implemented into his game. He said, harassing the enemy offlaner at the 0-minute mark, keeping them from hitting level 2 as long as possible. 2, hearing the carries on the shows complain about supports leeching XP. I make myself scarce in the jungle when the enemy offlaner isn't present in the lane. 3, I'm very vocal in my pubs with my friends about doing things together, smoking, pushing, objectives after a kill, making sure we can push our small advantages instead of going back to farming. Shit, you said that in this show. 4, working on my positioning as a support to make sure I get 2 to 3 cycles of my spells off in fights. Those are just a few of the things I've taken away from the show to improve my play along with my team. And the screenshots I'm including over the past 2 weeks is proof of that. I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for everyone, for everything you do and the content that .p continues to put out. It makes a difference to me and it is appreciated. Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks, Levi. And
I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty sure he just wrote that so that he would have someone to talk to about his awesome win streak.
It's not like there's losses. It's not just like one of those people that posts on Reddit where it's like 40 green games and they're like, I guess I'm good now. It's not that.
I was trying as hard as I could to devalue someone who was giving us praise, but it didn't work out.
No, this guy's super nice. I'd say all 4 points you've definitely touched on, whether it be on Theorycraft Thursday with Sam or on this show, where, you know, keeping the offlaner at level 1. You talked about that specifically when we were talking about offlane, that when Tidehunter can either block damage or deal damage, but when he can do both, he's a lot stronger. I remember you talking about that specifically. So, give yourself a little bit of props there. You definitely know what you're talking about.
Give myself some fucking bulgogi as soon as we're done with this.
Which we will be done right after I give the plugs. You can check us out on Wednesdays, twitch.tv/.ptv. The in-houses are there at Blast Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's super easy to sign up. There's not even really a sign up. You just have to be in our Discord and fill a slot. They're growing. They're fun.
I want to fucking Caster plan those next week for the fucking practice.
Yeah, I know. You guys, practice comes first. But I definitely want to see you guys do better than, top 658 in open qualifiers next time.
It's not what we got, but okay.
See, that was me trying to devalue 2 5K players.
I get you.
You can, of course, find us on YouTube /.ptv1, where every Theorycraft Thursday game gets posted. Also, Fafnir's replay reviews. They're actually super insightful. And I don't say actually like I'm surprised. I say actually like, holy fuck, I'm learning a lot from Fafnir. You can also leave us an iTunes review. Believe it or not, that helps our visibility. That helps people who are thinking about listening but not sure solidify their standpoint on, maybe we'll give Defense of the Patience a listen. You can also go to Patreon. There's some cool prizes up there. You can get a replay review done by any of the show hosts. We do have 2 5,000 MMR show hosts. Keep that in mind if you want to learn something. Or if you want to learn how to jungle something stupid, there's me. Or if you want to learn nothing, there's Denny. And then Flub and God, who am I missing? Flub and
Wazoo.
Wazoo.
Blood relative.
If you want to learn about how Lycan used to be played, you can also go check out, go get your replay done by the Wazmataz. No, just joking. Every host is going to provide something really cool and dynamic, I'm sure. A different approach to going over your replay. Whether I'm asking questions about how you did that and how it was cool, or Proud is actually giving you insight, or Ursi is saying how garbage your build is, it will be a fun time no matter what. You can also go to defensethepations.com. Here pretty soon, we're going to see some extraordinary changes. And
I have
you have some
builds
plugs?
like uploaded.
Yeah. Oh my God. People are. I saw this in the Discord, and that's why I was like, "What am I forgetting?" I'm also forgetting Jay Gushi, our Dota or our Defense of the Patients. Jay Gushi is faster at uploading episodes and descriptions of episodes than we are, and he is our resident like meme lord, funniest guy in the world, nicest guy in the world. If you get to meet him, you are lucky. And then where do we find your builds? I know you're doing...
It's just .pbuilds.tumblr.com.
.pbuilds.tumblr.com. That's fucking awesome.
And it just has like direct links to the Steam Workshop builds, so you can just like hit subscribe on them, and then it'll be your in-game build.
Oh, dude, let's get you more than Tortellini, so you can start being like 972 billion trillion people follow me.
Here's the thing. I don't want like... I mean, I guess I'm cool with that, but like, like lately, I've been thinking, like, why would I? Because I used to give a lot of advice on Reddit. Like, I have an anonymous, fucking account or whatever that I post on True Dota 2 for, and like everyone on True Dota 2 is just so fucking not. And I'm like, why would I bother like trying to champion my builds if like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of that? I'm not getting anything out of it. I prefer to these people just to be bad.
Well, dude, look at the Discord. It's constantly buzzing with, I did Proud's build, or I didn't do Proud's build. Like, people, when they don't do your build, they still give you credit, which is funny. They're like, oh yeah, I lost. I didn't do Proud's build.
I just loved the time when like I first started talking about like my Juggernaut build, and like every fucking time anyone played Jug, someone on Twitter would be like, "Hey, this person did your build," and I was like, literally no similarities to my build. He built a Battle Fury. I don't know what to tell you.
Or like, even though that's how you build Juggernaut, I would say you're not the first, and it's really probably not your build. But hey,
I've literally never seen it anywhere else, and I have looked.
Coin it, dude. I mean, coined.
It's
I guess
build, man.
It's coined
I
right now.
I'm trying out just because I got bored. It's Phase Boot. What is it? Phase Boot, Vanguard, Raindrop, Deso, Echo Saber, Blink, Abyssal. That's pretty fun.
Damn. Well, this is Roland for Phase Boot,
Vanguard,
Deso,
Raindrop, Deso,
Vanguard, Abyssal, and Proud
Echo.
saying
Grumbo.
Saying Gumbo.
Grumbo. It's an R. There's an R. Grumbo.
What the fuck is Grumbo?
Grumbo.
Is it like grody gumbo?
Grumbo.
What is Grumbo? No,
like denim chicken.
It's what?
Like denim chicken.
The fuck is denim chicken?
Just let it go, dude. Grumbo. Just let it flow, man.
All right. Also, yeah, email us if you have any questions. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, ask me about my Grumbo.
I did, and you wouldn't even answer it, so don't ask you about your Grumbo.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Next week, we'll have something new, upcoming, fun. Enjoy your Grumbo, Proud.